my friends, how are you? If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Thanks again for sharing time with me. I'm Michelle, and this is my channel, Penny's Daughter Shares, where I talk primarily about cross stitch. And today is actually a special episode because it will be all about cross stitch, or, well, sort of. We'll get to that. Before I get started, if you like what you see, please hit like on the video. Please subscribe. And also there's a bell down below that if you tap on that, you'll get notifications for when I put up new videos. I think that takes care of the housekeeping portion. So let's jump into what I have to offer today. Like I said, this is a special episode in which I'm going to describe what I'm calling FFO March Madness. And if you'd like to follow along, in addition to the videos that I will post, be sure to follow me over on Instagram, and you can also follow the hashtag FFO March Madness. If you've been here with me in the past couple of months, you're very familiar with the FFO Challenge 2023 and all that I've been able to accomplish with that. And this is only a portion of it so far, right? I participated in March Madness last year, and I put up a total of 16 projects. Some were new starts, some were whips that needed to be finished. And my goal at the end was to have you vote through a bracket system and come down to the favorite item that got voted for. And I would finish stitching that and fully finish it by the end of March. That was successful in that I got a lot done that month, but I didn't actually ever fully finish my stitch that was voted as the winner. And actually, that item will be in FFO March Madness. So let's see how it plays out this time. So what I want to do is explain how I'm doing this, and I'll say thank you to its Steel City Stitchers who started the March Madness type of stitching fun. That's where I got the idea. I am going to post my bracket up here. And actually, I'm gonna shift my chair just a little so that I have plenty of space to put it up there. And then I can describe to you, while this is sharing the screen with me, I can describe to you what my plans are with this bracket and how it will work. And then also, after I explain sort of my rules, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but that's what we're gonna go with. My rules for myself. Then I will do a parade of sorts that I'm gonna show each of the projects. And that way you'll know, you'll be able to see what you'll have the chance to vote on. All right, so like I said, here's my bracket. I chose 16 projects that I would like to FFO. And most of them are cross stitches. There are there's one, I don't know. I think there's one that is not a cross stitch, but is something that it's been stuck in my drawer that I want to get out and on display. And you'll see why it's important here in a second as I describe it. Okay, so here's my bracket of 16 pieces. I have them segmented into or sorted into categories. So I have 4 categories. I'm calling them pillow toss, put a pin in it, forget the frame, and frame it up. And each section has 4 items that will get voted down to a final one. So I'm going to end up with a final 4. Okay, so let me back up a little bit for a second because you're looking at my bracket and I'm going to look at my bracket as I'm talking too, so that I hopefully explain this clearly. What I'm going to do is I want to make sure everyone understands all the voting for this is done over on Instagram in my Instagram stories. So like I said, you'll need to follow me on Instagram if you want to vote. And you will be able to see, I will put the voting up each of the days that I have designated, and you'll be able to vote for between 2 things. And then I'll have a winner each time we have voting. And eventually we'll get down to a final 4. And then ultimately at the end of the month, there will be a final winner, if we can call it that. So what I'm going to do is I will have voting on Instagram from March 1st through March 8th. And that shows you, if you look at the bracket, from 16, we have 8 days of voting, we'll get down to 8. And then I will take a couple days of break from the voting so that I can organize everything. My plan is to do a sort of wrap-up video or a summary video and be able to show what the next round of voting looks like, so then you can see everything. And then the next round of voting, again, if you look at my bracket, you can see this, will be March 13th through the 16th. And for those 4 days of voting, then we come down to my final 4 projects that you have voted for. And if you're familiar with brackets, you can see that each one of my categories will have a sort of winner or finalist, that's a better word, a finalist going into our ultimate winner. My goal with this, first of all, is to have fun with it. And I love having the interaction and hearing feedback and what people vote on, because last year when I did this, I was very surprised sometimes at what got voted for over something else when I expected the other one to win. So it's fun. So that's my first goal. Second goal is, with this, is that I'm going to get 4 projects fully finished. So the final 4 that you voted for, and that means 1 from each category, will get fully finished before the end of March. So about the second half of March, I'll be fully finishing those 4 items. And then at some point, I will do another video showcasing those 4 items that you'll vote on in their fully finished state. And I'm going to have you vote for your favorite FFO of March. So let's see, our round 3 voting, so this will be the fully finished objects, will be March 28th and 29th. And then I can get results from that, and we will have the final voting will be on March 31st. So hopefully that sort of makes sense. I'm trying to kind of give you the gist. The main point is that if you want to vote and your vote to be counted, I need you to go over to Instagram to share your vote, because that's where I can easily collect everything. Right? I think I'm trying to make this more confusing than it really is. You're going to vote. I'm going to tell you what won each vote. You're going to vote some more. And we're going to get down to a final 4 items that I'm going to fully finish in the month. And then of those 4 full finishes, you're going to vote for your favorite. There, why couldn't I started with that? That was easy. Now I'm going to do my sort of a parade of each of these items that I'm going to fully finish. The first quarter of my bracket, like I already explained, was called Pillow Toss. And up first for voting is, it's labeled Ugly Christmas Sweater on my bracket. It's actually my father-in-law's sweater, and we didn't know it, but when we bought it for him, that was our last Christmas with him. And so when he passed, after he passed, we learned how much he had been wearing this sweater. And he basically had a month and a half with it. And from what I understand, from December 25th until he passed early February, he wore it all the time. He didn't care that it wasn't Christmas anymore. And so that we can remember him and just enjoy it, seeing it, I want to make this into a pillow. And my original plan was to have it on display at Christmas time. It may be out for a while other than that, but it's just been, I've had it tucked in a drawer and I need to put it together. So that is my first project. And going up against the Ugly Christmas Sweater from my father-in-law is this sweatshirt that my mom actually cross-stitched. And I've had this tucked away. If you've been around, you know that, we recognized, I certainly don't want to say celebrate, we recognized that my mom passed 25 years ago, this past December. So I've had this sweatshirt for 25 years. Now, in my defense, a lot of those years, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. I was just holding on to it. And a few years ago, I had the idea that I should make it also into a pillow or some sort of display piece so that I could look at it all the time. I remember this sweatshirt. I remember my mom stitching this sweatshirt, and I can remember her wearing it. And for anyone that's been stitching for a really long time, you may be familiar with waist canvas, where you kind of basted it on your garment of clothing, and you would stitch your project, and then you got it really, really wet, and you pulled out strand by strand your cross-stitching fabric. And I can remember my mom sitting on our bathroom floor pretty much in tears because she was so frustrated with taking this apart, because it's quite a large stitch for that way of making it. So it just sort of adds to my memory, makes it even more important. So Ugly Christmas Sweater and Santa Fe Sweatshirt are up in the first battle. And those are just really strong memory pieces and not so much about my own stitching. Up next, and I'll show you since I have a chart picture, I have this one here, Farm and Folk Penny Cushions from Heartstring Samplery. And here is my stitch finish. This I plan to make into a throw pillow, but sort of, I have an existing throw pillow and I'm sort of gonna wrap it with this. Not sure exactly how that's all gonna come together yet. I'm gonna work my way through it, but that's been my plan for a really long time. I started stitching this because I liked it, and Jeff and I both grew up on farms, and he liked it too as I started stitching on it and decided that he would really like it for his office. So when I can get it finished, he's going to put it, you know, in one of his chairs in his office. Should I be telling you how I stitched these things? I guess I can probably do that pretty quickly. So this one is stitched on 32 count Belfast linen natural. So that means I stitched it 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And I used all the called for colors, which they happen to be Weeks Dye Works. And like I said, I plan to make sort of a wrap on an existing throw pillow. Up against that is the Hands-On Design Berries in Bloom, and here is my kit picture from Simple Stitches Fabric Shop, which I ordered this kit, I don't even know how long ago. It's been in my drawer. But the last I checked, they for sure have the pattern available that you can purchase. I don't remember if there's kits still available. Oh, and I will have a lot of this stuff in the notes down below in terms of project names, and if I found something like this one came from Simple Stitches Fabric Shop, I'll have a link for them down below so that you can go and check these things out in more detail if I'm going kind of quickly. So here's my stitched finish. Like I said, I'm going to make this into the throw pillow as the kit shows. And I do not have the notes on what I stitched this on in front of me. I know it's 32 count, and I know I stitched 2 over 2. I used, I'm pretty sure, all DMCs, although I think I switched the called fors just to be a little more my preferred kind of shades of color. Some of them are called for that I used. So, but that's going to be a cool throw pillow. So that is the 4 items for the pillow toss segment of my bracket. Are you ready to see what I have planned for put a pin in it segment of the bracket? Up first is actually, I'm putting 4 stitch finishes into one spot in the bracket because they all go together. So these are the Jeannette Douglas, I don't think she really named the series. So there's one for each season, and I stitched all 4 of them. I plan to finish all 4 pretty much the exact same way. Okay, let me show you the charts really quick. So first is Jump into Spring. Okay, and then there is Soar into Summer. Sorry for the glare. You can kind of see that okay. All right, and then fall into autumn. This is the one that started it for me, and I fell in love with them. I love these so much. I need to get them FFO'd so I can enjoy them all the time. And then Cozy into Winter is the fourth one. Another one. It's really pretty. Okay, there's the charts. Here is my 4 stitch finishes. And just to give you, so I already said I plan to make them all into very similar pin pillows. And how I stitched all of these. All of them are stitched on 32 count gingham Lugana. I think it's Lugana. I then treated it, it's gray and white, very stark gray and white. I treated all of my fabric before I stitched with Primitive Gatherings Instant Antique Spray. And then I stitched everything. I used all the called for flosses, and I stitched, because it's 32 count, that means I stitched 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And then as you can see, all 4 of these have 3 rows of specialty stitches. And those were so much fun. I really would like to find some more projects with specialty stitches. I had a whole lot of fun with those, and I think they're beautiful. So that is my first entry into my put a pin in it bracket. So it's all 4 of these will get fully finished. Going up against those, and this would be for voting on March 3rd, is from Abby Rose Designs. It's the Primitive Merry Christmas Pillow. So that's the chart. Here's the picture of my stitched finish of this one. I plan to make this into a pin pillow very similar to the chart picture. And let's see, I was going to tell you how I stitched it. It is stitched on 28 count Weeks Dye Works light khaki gingham linen. Since it's 28 count, that means for me that I used 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And I pretty much used called for colors, except for the words. It was DMC 3371 was the called for, and I substituted in Classic Colorworks Black Coffee, which if you've been around, you know that's one of my favorite flosses. So I just thought that slight variation in color would be really fantastic with the words in this one. So that is going up against Jeannette Douglas's 4 seasons of pin pillows for me. Up next, which voting would be on March 4th, here is the chart picture. Hands-on Design, Block Party 4th. Okay, and let's see again. And I have the pins, and each of these block parties comes with a piece of felt to help you finish the the pin cushion. Oh my goodness. So here's my finish, or my stitch finish anyway. Clearly I plan to make this into a black pin cushion as it shows on the chart, and following Kathy's instructions. And let's see. I don't have my notes on how I stitched this. Okay, Block Party 4th. Now I have my notes so that I can share with you exactly how I stitched it. I stitched it on 28 count antique copper Jobelin from Witchelt. That means that I used 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And let's see, all the called for flosses on this one are DMC colors. And I pulled out my anchor flosses on the spools and did a quick sort of conversion. And so I stitched this using all anchor flosses and with very little difference in the color of the floss. So I pretty much matched up to what the called for DMC was. Except for the words again, I like Classic Colorworks Black Coffee, and that's what I used. So that is Block Party 4th. And going up against that is going to be the Scarlett House, No Place Like Home. That's the chart picture. Here is my stitch finish. And, whoops, my notes are falling out here. Okay. I stitched this on 36 count Picture This Plus Legacy. And that means for me that I stitched using 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. I used, it looks like I used all called for colors. She did give us some DMC conversions and some other different brands of overdyed flosses with some approximations or, is that the word I want to use? I feel like there's another word, a substitution that you could use, I guess. And so I think I may have swapped out a couple things in that fashion, but pretty much it's all called for. The main thing that I did different is on the chart, it shows a dog or it's charted for a dog by the house. And I found a chart for a cute black cat, and I stitched that 1 over 1 in. When I started this, it was for Jasper. It ended up being in memory of Jasper that I added the cute little black kitty. And I'm really pleased with how that came out. And this one, I also plan to finish as a pin pillow and very similarly, again, to the chart picture. So that wraps up the put a pin in it bracket. All right, let's talk about the Forget the Frame bracket that I have. Up first in this bracket is the Lady Liberty pin drum from Blackbird Designs. So that is the chart picture. And from my notes here, I stitched this on 36 count Winter Brew from R&R. That means that I would have stitched 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. And I used all the called for Weeks Dye Works colors. And I think it's pretty obvious, maybe not, that I am going to finish this as it shows on the chart picture as a drum. This was so much fun to stitch, and I can't believe that I haven't gotten the FFO done on this one yet, because I finished that in 2021, in summer, I think. So that makes it at least 1.5 years ago that I had it done. So I'm really excited about that one. Oh, but don't let me influence your voting, because I'm just as excited about this next one that's going up against it. Up next is Bobbin' Along from Notforgotten Farm. And I purchased this as a kit from Country Sampler, and it is stitched on 40 count earth from Fiber on a Whim. That means I stitched 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. And in the kit that I got, it came with a little piece of wool that's gonna help me finish this into a pin drum like it shows on the chart picture. Again, I love this. I love the robin. There's a reason I stitched it. Why it's not done, we don't know, but that's why I'm trying FFO March Madness and FFO Challenge 2023 is to get some of these things done and out of the drawer. So that is Bobbin' Along from Notforgotten Farm. And then in my next matchup of Forget the Frame, up first is, and I'm showing you the chart picture from the kit because I bought the kit again from Simple Stitches Fabric Shop. This is Hands-On Design, Let's Talk Stitching. All right, so here is my stitch finish. And what I stitched this on is 32 count Vintage Stormy Night. I believe it's a Zweigart, but don't quote me on that. Let's see. So as you can see, in the kit, it's designed to be stitched on dark charcoal or black fabric, and I chose a lighter shade of fabric. So I had to make a couple substitutions just so that my floss showed up. Almost everything as you see it stitched is called for. I substituted the gray in the scissors. I think I had to darken that up a little. And let's see, I was looking at my notes here. The hoop, I changed the color a little bit too. And for the words, instead of using white, which obviously wouldn't show up as well on this particular fabric, again, one of my favorites, Classic Colorworks Black Coffee. I told you I like it. So I'm really happy with how the stitching turned out on this, and I'm really excited to make the bag. I think it will be so fun to use, and it's gonna be so cute. I mean, why else would I have stitched it and purchased the kit to make it, right? So that is the Let's Talk Stitching bag. And my final entry in the Forget the Frame bracket is the winner from last year's March Stitchy Madness. Here's the chart picture. Let me hold it the right direction. Tulip Festival from Brenda Gervais. And how I plan to finish that. So here's my stitching. How I plan to fully finish this is I purchased a wall hanging at Target that I'm going to sew my stitch onto to fully finish it. So it's going to be a wall hanging. I'm just cheating a little. I don't know. Is that the right words? Let's go with it. I'm cheating a little and not making the whole wall hanging. I'm just gonna put this on the wall hanging. And so how I stitched this, I have to look at my notes because this was from a while ago and my notes are different. It is 32 count, Weeks Dye Works, linen is the color, and it's linen fabric. So it is 32 count, Weeks Dye Works, linen. That means that I stitched 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And when I kitted this up, I could only find a certain few of the called for colors. And so I had to make a fair number of substitutions here and there. So some things are called for. I think let's see. Okay. So the bunny I substituted because it was a silk floss was what was called for. So I just substituted something in a color that I liked for the bunny. And then the other real significant, if that's even true, I'm not sure how significant the change is, but maybe the most noticeable substitution that I made was for the bunny's dress. Yeah. I used Classic Colorworks Shamrock, and I love the color and how that turned out on that one. So the called for was, it looks like Weeks Dye Works Teal Frost, and couldn't find it at the time, and I found Classic Colorworks Shamrock, and I think that would be one of those things you'd call a happy accident, because think that turned out really lovely. So that is Tulip Festival from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And that wraps up the Forget the Frame portion of my bracket. Here we go, the final bracket, the Frame It Up bracket. So these are some, I'm going to say, larger projects. And again, why are they not done? Who knows? But maybe this will help me get them done. Let's see. So up first, and for voting on March 7th, will be Winter Rose Manor, Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And here is the pin cushion on the back, all part of the same chart. Now, I actually finished stitching the pin and cushion of this either at the I think it was right at the beginning of this year. So I have that, and I'm going to fully finish that as part of this full finish. I purchased it's not a frame exactly, it's a wall hanging from Hobby Lobby that you can pop the centerpiece out of. And I think it was Lori Holt that first showed this being used, and I've seen lots of other people using this as their frame for this piece. Now, the only issue I have with possibly doing it that way is I stitched on 40 count linen, and most people that I've seen using that particular frame stitched on 36 count. And so I'm not 100% sure until I get it sort of put together. And if I look at it some more to make sure that that frame is going to work for my stitch. The Winter Rose Manor itself, I stitched on the called for fabric, which was Brenda's Brew from R&R. Like I said, I stitched on 40 count. I think it calls for 36 count, but don't quote me on that. I haven't looked at that in a while. I used all the called for colors except for the white of the snow in the basket. I used Classic Colorworks Toasted Marshmallow, and I learned that from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. That was a substitution she had made, and now I have another floss color that can be sort of an obsession because I've used Toasted Marshmallow on so many things because I fell in love with it, with using it on this project. For the pin cushion itself, I stitched that also on 40 count Brenda's Brew and used all the same called for colors except, again, Classic Colorworks Toasted Marshmallow I substituted. And I did not say, since it's 40 count fabric, for me that means I used 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. And I don't know if the quote pin cushion will be a pin cushion when I get it done, or it will be more of a, I'll say a more simple sort of round finish. I haven't 100% decided, and that will get fully determined when I go to fully finish it. So that's up first. Up against Winter Rose Manor is Letters from Nora, the letter V for my Viv. And I'll put my stitch up here, my stitch finish. As you can see, it looks quite a bit different from the chart picture. I used 32 count Tallulah from Seraphim Fabrics. That means I stitched 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And for my substitutions, actually I stitched pretty much all called for colors, except for, obviously I switched the fabric color, and I switched the color of the letter V because my Viv likes herself some pink and some purple, and that's what she wanted. So I substituted to use pinks and purples for the letter V. And let's see. Yeah. So I used Classic Colorworks Heatherly, which is the more pink shade, and I used Classic Colorworks Plum Paisley for the more purple shade in the V. And I think that covers, because like I said, everything else I think is all called for. The beads and stuff, although, well, no, I'm sorry. The larger beads on the V, I substituted for something that looked better with the colors I went with since I substituted those into something different. And I have a white frame that I'm going to put this in. And again, I just need to get it done, especially since it's for Vivian, so that she can use it and see it all the time. All right, up next in my brackets is What Remains from Blackbird Designs. And let's see, here's my picture of my stitched finish. Here is what I used. I used all called for flosses. I stitched mine on 36 count wheat from Fiber on a Whim. That means I stitched 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. And I stitched this in memory of my mom. And my original goal was to have this stitched and framed, fully finished by that anniversary date of her passing, which was December 27th of, I'm sorry, I can't believe I just said the wrong date. That's, that date is like burned into my mind. December 28th, 2023. And I just didn't get it framed. In fact, no, I think I did have the frame. So I ordered a custom frame. It has a penny feel. It definitely will make you think of pennies when you see it. So I think it's going to look absolutely gorgeous, and I can't wait to get it fully framed, and so then it's fully finished and I can have it hanging up and looking at it all the time. So that is What Remains from Blackbird Designs. And it is going up against, and I'm going to post a picture here because I don't have a good print. It's a PDF that I used. I think you can get a paper copy now. This is Hicks Creates Florographica. And here is my stitch finish. And this was an absolute joy to stitch. And I will always look at this piece with really a large sense of accomplishment and very sort of fond memories, because this piece is what helped me teach myself or to learn how to stitch in hand and to let go of my Q-snap. And for me, that's been very liberating, and it gives me like I said, I feel accomplished and just this freedom of not having to hold a Q-snap. So, okay, that's my little bit there on my memory part of this one. I stitched this on 32 count Belfast linen natural. Let's see, so that means I stitched 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. Except for the initials, I stitched 1 floss thread over 1 linen thread. And I used all the called for colors except for the light lavender shades that you can see here in the flowers. And the called for was Classic Colorworks Bunny Honey, and it just didn't show enough on my fabric choice. So I used 1 strand of Bunny Honey and 1 strand of DMC 451, which is either DMC 451 is either a suggested alternative to Bunny Honey, or else it's 1 shade different from the suggested DMC for Bunny Honey. But it darkened it just enough, gave it a little bit more color that then it could show in my stitching. So that is Florographica, and I have a frame for this. And I just need to frame it up. So let's see. That wraps up all of my brackets. Are you ready to start voting on my FFO March Madness? Just a reminder, be sure to head over to Instagram in order to vote, because that's where the votes will be tabulated, and that will be in my Instagram stories each day that we have voting. And March 1st is when I will put up my first vote, and we will have voting from March 1st to March 8th. And then I will get a video together to show you where everything stands and what the next 8 what the 8 remaining items are that we'll be voting on. Let's see. So I told you about Instagram. I want to make sure that's clear. If you haven't done so, like and subscribe down below and hit the bell, and then when I do put up another video, you'll get notified that it posted and you can get caught up if you'd like. I hope you had fun seeing all this with me. It was fun to share it. I have it laying out on my cutting table right now, and that means there's no room for me to actually do any FFOing. But it's fun to pull it all out and to really start thinking about it and getting ready to get some of these done. So I appreciate the time that you shared with me today, and I will thank you in advance for any time that you share with me in order to vote, and I will talk to you soon.